Hi everyone, this is Satnam here from Alchemist Academy. Today I've got a very special webinar for you. This webinar is on the latest reorder exam questions. If you have your exam upcoming or it is very close, or if you've just started your PT preparation, make sure that you watch this webinar. It's a very short webinar, it's only about 10 minutes and it will cover some of the latest reorder exam questions along with a detailed explanation. So definitely look into this webinar and stay tuned. There are a lot of helpful webinars that are going to come up very shortly. Good luck for your test. Do watch this webinar and let's smash the test together. Alright guys, so we are in our Alchemist AI, we are in the reading section over here. So let's get into the new exam questions over here. Let's just see what we have over here. Okay, so this is a completely new reorder and it has got 5 sentences. Usually you should expect a reorder which has got minimum 4 sentences or maximum 5 sentences. So the very first thing that I've asked you guys to do is go through with the reorder by skimming and scanning the reorder, trying to look for some of the most repeated words. Okay, so let's have a look. Let's just go through this. I can see the word antidepressant over here. I saw it somewhere else as well. I saw the word antidepressant as well. There's some review, and I've seen this word antidepressant in yeah, here I can see. So you can look over here. So I can, just by going through it from top to bottom, I saw the word antidepressant here, antidepressant here, antidepressant. So this reorder is about antidepressants. What exactly is about antidepressants? Let's just read through it. This was widely opposed by a multi-billion-dollar company. What was opposed? Well, I'll have to go through it. It is therefore recommended a child could self-reproach starting with low dose and build up gradually. Okay, therefore, could be like a conclusion, because you got the word therefore there. A major review of antidepressants has found that, okay, that they are largely ineffective and may even be harmful for children and teens depression in the Amazon. Okay, fair enough. And the true ineffectiveness of the risk is found in the borders of Amazon. Fair enough. The study. All right. I can tell you for sure that this sentence here is my topic sentence because it is about a review of antidepressants. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just click on this and I'm just going to take it to the other side of the screen. Let's have a look. So it says a major review of antidepressants is found. They are largely ineffective and may even be harmful for children and teens depression in the Amazon. Okay, fair enough. Why is it ineffective in the Amazon? There should be an answer. Like if I treat this introduction like a question, I can definitely find an answer. So why are they ineffective? So this was widely opposed. No, it is some kind of opposition to something. No. So okay, let's read it. The thread. I assume that this is the conclusion. Let's leave it alone. Let's read these 2 sentences. The study authors recommend that children and adolescents taking antidepressants should be carefully monitored closely and permanently. However, it prohibits the study of children's antidepressants. That does not answer my question, so I'm left with this. The true effectiveness and the risk of serious harms is found in the borders of Amazon, such as suicidal thoughts, remain unclear because of a small number of trials and selective reporting and findings that are in published trials and clinical study report. Okay, that makes sense that this is ineffective because of this reason, because we cannot do a proper study. So I'm just going to take it and leave it on the other side for now. The other thing is I can see the word Amazon over here. I can see the word Amazon over here. So remember when I told you when we the very first approach that we use while forming a pairs is we are trying to look for matching words. So most likely this should be the correct pair over here. Okay. Now let's move forward and let's have a look. So it says that there is not enough clinical study and reports on this. Okay, so they're talking about a review. The other thing that I can think over here is this study. The study authors recommend that children and adolescents taking antidepressant should be carefully monitored closely and permanently. However, it prohibits the study of children's antidepressants. Okay, so this is what they're saying, that like people who take antidepressants, they should be monitored closely, but the study does not want to include children in. All right, this was widely opposed by multi-billion-dollar companies that have already invested in antidepressants. So it is just the opposite. That's why the companies are unhappy. Why have children being excluded from this? So it is therefore recommended a child could self-reproach, stating with a low dose, starting, sorry, my apologies, starting with a low dose and build up gradually within to prevent the side effects. This for sure is a conclusion. So I'm just going to leave it over here, because as you have a look at this, the word therefore is there. You can have a look at a few more words over here, that if you look into this part over here, you got the recommendation. A recommendation is always used as a conclusion as well. Okay, so this is how I think this should be the right answer to this reorder. Let's have a look. We will find out towards the end how the reorder works out for us. Okay, so we'll read through this one more time. So it says a major review of antidepressants is found. They're largely ineffective and may even be harmful for children and teens depression in the Amazon. Okay, the true effectiveness and risk of serious harms is found in the borders of Amazon. Yep, makes sense. Such as suicidal thoughts remain unclear because of the small number of trials and the selective reporting findings in the published trials and clinical study report. Fair enough. The study authors recommend that children and adolescents taking antidepressants should be carefully monitored closely and permanently. However, it prohibits the study of children's antidepressants. Fair enough. You need to monitor, but you're excluding children. And this is widely opposed by multi-billion-dollar companies that do not want this to happen, who have invested a lot of money in antidepressants. It is therefore recommended that a child could self-reproach, starting with a low dose and build up gradually to prevent the side effects. That makes sense. Most likely it should be correct, but we'll have a look at the end. Okay. The next reorder that we are doing, we'll have to skim and scan through this. So this is about car accidents. This happens. I don't know what this means. Accidents as a new method is advised. Teenagers license. They should draw public attention. Teenagers. So I think this is about teenagers, licenses, and their accidents. Okay, let's start reading through each and every sentence and get a rough idea. So it says, according to the research, more car accidents occur in the morning. Okay. Especially this happens very often among teenage drivers. Okay, so this would be referring to an accident. Particularly, most of those accidents happen between 1 a.m. and 5 a.m., for example, in Port Macquarie. And this says, as a new method, it is advised to have more qualification for teenagers to get licenses. Fine. And this should draw the public attention and should put more concern on teenagers. Okay. So the main focus is, I think teenagers are responsible for accidents. So I would start off with this reorder here, which says that according to a research, more accidents occur in the morning. Then if I look at it, why do they occur in the morning, or how do they occur in the morning? If I convert this to a question, the explanation is over here. Further information, particularly most of those accidents happen between 1 a.m. and 5 a.m., which is the morning time. For example, in Port Macquarie. Okay. And if you look at this, there now the rest of the things is, I can see teenagers, I can see teenagers. Definitely, if I carefully look into this, so this and this should form a pair for sure, because they've got the exact word teenagers and teenagers. So let me have a look. Especially this happens very often among teenagers. Okay, what is that this referring to? That this is referring to the accidents, the early morning accidents. Okay, let's move further. And they're saying that this should draw the public and people should put more concern on teenagers. Okay, fair enough. As a new method. Okay, I would rather put this here, and I would put this sentence in the end, because this is again a suggestion. It is advised to have more qualification for teenagers to get licenses. And if you look at this, teenagers and teenagers, there's repetitive word. You got teenage drivers. It's relating to this scenario over here. And I think this should be absolutely correct. All right, let's read through it one more time. It says, according to the research, more car accidents occur in the morning. Particularly, most of those accidents happen between 1 a.m. and 5 a.m. For example, in Port Macquarie. Especially, this happens very often among teenage drivers. This should draw the public attention. What is that? This that the accidents happening among teenagers should draw public attention, and people should put more concern on teenagers. As a new method, it is advised to have more qualification for teenagers to get licenses. Fine, let's click next. Okay, the next reorder. The next reorder that we have is I can see the word snake removal in Albany, Texas. We arrived lunchtime and see if more than far mu. Uh, More than a few. He said a few snakes. Okay, the company removed 45 rattlesnakes. Okay, looks like it is about snakes, and in particular, it is about rattlesnakes. Let's start reading through it. It says big country snake removal responded to a home in Albany, Texas, after a man who was trying to restore his cable climbed under the house and saw some snakes. Fair enough. We arrived around lunchtime, and as soon as I crawled under, I could immediately see there are far more than a few. The post said. He said a few snakes, and he saw a few snakes and quickly crawled out. Said a post on Pig Country Snake Removals page. The company ended up removing 45 rattlesnakes. So where did the snakes get introduced? I think when the man was trying to put a cable, right? So let's just put this in. Big Country Snake Removal responded to a home in Albany, Texas, after a man who was trying to restore his cable climbed under the house and saw some snakes. Okay, so this is the company, Big Country Snake Removals. Okay. Now, what did this company do, and what happened next? What happened next? So the next thing that he said is he saw a few snakes. Who's this he being referred to? I think this he is being referred to a man, the man who was trying to fix his cable. He saw a few snakes and quickly crawled out, set up post on Big Country Snake Removals Facebook page. So this is the company. I am correct. Yep. Okay. What happened next? So the company ended up removing. How can they remove? They have to arrive first. Okay. So we arrived around lunchtime, and as soon as I crawled under, I could immediately see there was far more than a few. The post said. Okay, so they're still referring to this post, a post, and the post. If you can look at it, here is your articles, a post and the word the post. So definitely this should form a pair together. And the company ended up removing 45 rattlesnakes from beneath the house. Jesus, that's a lot. So if you read through this reorder one more time, let's have a look. Big Country Snake Removal responded to a home in Albany, Texas, after a man who was trying to restore his cable climbed under the house and saw some snakes. He saw a few snakes and quickly crawled out. Set a post on Big Country Snakes Removal's Facebook page. We arrived around lunchtime, and as soon as I crawled under, I could immediately see there was far more than a few. The company ended up removing 45 rattlesnakes from beneath the house. Fine, that's the conclusion. Let's move ahead. All right. Now, the next reorder, even before I can read, I can see there's quite a lot of percentages, numbers, years, and there's a lot of statistics involved over here. Let's have a look into this. So this one, I'll have to go the decline in marriage rates, divorce rates, decrease population, proportion population decreased, widowed, proportion population married, population proportion decreased. Okay, I think this is something that is related to a percentage of population that is married. I may be right, may be wrong, but let's have a look. The decline in the marriage rates and the increase in divorce rates has led to a decrease in the proportion of the population that is formally married. Okay. At the same time, the proportion of the population that who were divorced increased from 5% in 1986 to 7% in 2001, while the proportion of the population who were widowed remained around 6%. Conversely, the proportion of population aged 15 years and over who were never married increased from 29% to 32% in 2001. And in 1986, 60% of the population aged 15 years and over were married. By 2001, the proportion has decreased to 55%. Whoa. All right. So I'm pretty sure that this should be introduction because it's about the decline in the marriage rates and the increase in the divorce rate. This is an important part over here because this introduction itself is telling me I have to follow the decline and the increase in divorce rate pattern over here. Okay. Now they're talking about the proportion of population that was formerly married. Okay. So let's have a look and let's start with this. So if I was to follow, just simply saying, if I was to follow chronology also, and if I was to look over here, chronologically, I can see that the oldest year here is 1986. So I'm just going to move it. In 1986, 60% of the population aged 15 years and over were married. By 2001, the proportion had decreased to 55%. Okay, so if you look from here, I said I will be following the decrease pattern. So should be fine, right? Should be fine. Then it says at the same time, the proportion of population who were divorced increased. Okay, so if I was to follow this, so they're talking about the decrease in marriage, increase in divorce. Let's look at this. Conversely, the population aged 15 years and over who were never married increased from 29% in 1986 to 32%. Fair enough. I think it should be this one down here because they're talking about people who aren't married, they're increasing in numbers as well. At the same time, the divorce has increased a lot. So if you look at this entire reorder over here, this introduction itself is important. Decline in marriage rates and the increase in divorce. So my end increases with my last sentence is about the increase in divorce. I started with the decline in marriage. Okay. Hopefully this is correct. By following the chronology, let's have a look. I'm going to hit confirm. God knows what scores I'm going to get. Okay. All 90. Every reorder is absolutely correct. You can have a look. Following Pearson's scoring guide, we have exactly the same output. In fact, you can compare and you can have a look what scores you got. So on your left, you can see that this is the correct answer. On the right is what you have answered. And these four reorders were the latest reorders that have come in the test just a few weeks back, a few days back. So please make sure that you go through these reorders, and anyone who's got a test, make sure to have a look at this video.